Hello, hello, hello. Okay, welcome back. This is G. We're looking at a chart here. And if you look closely, you will see the date is April 21st, 2023. This kicks off the beginning of the Mercury retrograde. Retrograde means Mercury is going to be moving backwards. So we look for Mercury, and she is right there. The numbers are in red. Yep. And you see some other stuff, right? You see some other stuff. You see the moon is conjunct Mercury when she goes backwards. So when Mercury is standing still, let's be clear, Mercury was at 15 degrees and 37 minutes for a nice amount of time for Mercury. Mercury's very fast, right? So if Mercury is standing still at 1537 for 5 hours, like that's like, oh, holy shit, right? Because Mercury has to slow down before it can go backwards. And that's what happened. And so the moon and Mercury were conjunct. We're sitting together holding hands for pretty close to a period of like 4 hours and still are here. Look, 1553, 1537. Yeah. So this makes us communicate Mercury, think Mercury, talk Mercury. We can be more peaceful, right? But maybe not, because the Uranus energy is involved here. You see this? We've got Uranus at 1752. So for some of us, there may be ways that we're talking and thinking that and communicating where it's a little bit more independent. It's a little bit more, I got to think outside the square. I got to think outside the circle. I got to think outside the triangle. I got to think outside the box. I got to think outside of these previous shapes, and I have to just kind of invent my own shape. And I have to do some, what do they call it? The workarounds, right? I got to do a workaround. I got to figure things out, right? And so Mercury in Taurus, the moon in Taurus, we're confident, but it's more about a confidence because we are very grounded and we're very earthy. And so we can think and connect dots pragmatically, right? Like it make sense thing. Mercury and Taurus, the details, but the details have to be logical. There should be like this next rational step involved. Okay. And then communicating that way and the ability to talk about it in a peaceful and a calm way. However, the monkey wrench that gets thrown there and there, maybe monkey wrench isn't the right word, but yeah, this badass right here, Uranus energy is like, we gotta disrupt things a little bit. We gotta do things that we don't normally do. We gotta break away from what we've normally been doing in order to make a plan and move ahead. So the meaning for this Mercury beginning this retrograde is I'm really thinking about my values, Taurus. So this could be the love of your life. This could be people that you're close to, mom energy, family energy, because we got the moon conjunct Mercury. And I can't tell you how many hours a day I've been spending on the phone with my mother. Like literally, I don't get to do any of my recording until late into the evening because my daytime hours are literally spent talking with her because she's confused and she's kind of lost, and just kind of struggling. And so Mercury and the moon in Taurus, it's like, okay, I have to do this right now. Like it's just a priority. It just makes sense. Like who else is going to do it? And not that she doesn't have other people in her life, but yeah, her daughters, her children, people typically have a 9 to 5 or are busy, right? Having their own families or whatever it is. And so if I'm just on the phone with her, Mercury, I'm thinking, maybe that's something. It's better than nothing. It's assisting her in some way. Okay. And so Mercury and Taurus using communications. This can be snail mail. This can be your phone, social media. It's texting. It's all of that. It's all of that. Handheld devices. Mercury learning, learning new things, right? Possibly teaching, sales, even. Maybe considering the way you're spending money and your finances, right? I had conversations with somebody about technology, a laptop, even, right? And that makes a lot of sense. It's Mercury, it's devices, it's digital, it's ways of consuming information and sharing it. And isn't that what we use our little I was trying to my mom, the weirdest thing, is confused as she can be. She was trying to understand the difference between her cell phone and her landline, right? We have a landline where she's at, like as an extra, precaution, and then of course for her internet. And she was asking me some questions that I found shocking because I was like, okay, so she understands that this doesn't use a wire. It only uses a wire to charge, which is what she was asking me. So if I disconnect this wire, will this still work? And I'm like, yeah, mom, that wire connected to it, that's just to charge it. And then we walked out to the house phone. Like, this was her project. I was on the phone for hours. She's like, no, just hold on. So I was like, I can call you back. She's like, no, just wait here. And she left the room, left her cell phone in the other room and was charging it. So we had to leave it in the room so it could charge because she didn't know where the other charger was, which I finally figured, another sibling went in there and told me, oh, yeah, this is where the charger. Anyway, so I was just trying to piece things together for her. And she went out and found her landline, got it back onto its base so it could charge, but then was following the wires from that base and telling me how it was going back and it was connecting to a thing in the wall. And I said, yeah, mom, that's why that's called a landline. So she was like figuring all these things out. And then talking about how by her bed on her nightstand where she charges her cell phone, there's another cord there. And she kept asking me, is this the cord? And I'm like, yeah, mom, there's only one cord that's going to go into your cell phone and it's going to fit because she's got an Apple. And, those who have a little bit easier connections than the Android. I know because I have an Android. You have to be very careful with the Android port. And then it turns out she wasn't as confused as I thought, because then the next day I found out her little help I've fallen and I can't get up alert thing that she wears, it's supposed to be charged like every 3 days. And that cord is also on her nightstand. And I had no idea. This was something I wasn't aware of. I wasn't aware that no one told me anything about it. So I just didn't know and I never asked. And that's what she was referring to, that there were multiple chords there. So my whole point of all of this isn't to just talk about me and my life and my mom, but the relevancy of the moon and Mercury in Taurus. You see, technology and the moon, mom, family, someone that you value, Taurus energy, feminine energy, the moon, Taurus is feminine. And Mercury, even though it's a dual thing, it can present with the twins, like the fraternal twins, masculine and feminine together. It's been really showing up with a stronger feminine quality just because it's been out of balance. It's been out of whack and it's just been presenting way more masculine than feminine. So there's just like a lot of strong feminine energy with this beginning of this Mercury retrograde. Okay. And so remember, this is Friday, April 21st. The time of the Mercury retrograde, I'm like in the zone already with it, but this is technically 3:35 a.m., when it begins. And then it'll go back to 6 degrees of Taurus, and then it'll have to come all the way back to 16, 15, 37, 16 of Taurus to end the retrograde. But remember, what's the caution when we're dealing with a retrograde of any kind? We wait for it to get out of that shadow zone. Okay, right? And that shadow zone would be that entire zone, that entire area. And once it's beyond the 16 degrees of Mercury, once it's beyond it, then we can make a more better decision, or more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's more informed, but it's even more detailed than that because that's Mercury, the details. It's like I have more options in front of me because I've had the opportunity to gather more information. So remember with the Mercury retrograde, delays, delays, and do-overs, reruns and redos. That is always normal within Mercury retrograde, and Mercury is going over the books because it's in Taurus. It's going over the books. It's the accountant, right? Absolutely. So I just wanted to do a short reminder retrograde video on Mercury so that you guys could see that and understand that, yeah, this is the cycle we're in, and you wait until it's beyond that 16 degrees before you make any major decisions. Major decisions. And if you can't, you get the help of a professional or a couple of more trusted people to look over documents if you have to sign anything, right? There's people maybe signing contracts for employment, maybe signing the dotted line for taxes or whatever. um, just make sure that you have multiple eyes looking at those things during retrograde times. That's just the way to make sure that you're um, just making the best decision you can possibly make. One other thing about Mercury before I sign off, Mercury is like our neighborhood. It's our local community. Valuing that local community. What do you value about your local community? And what makes up a community? The stores, the restaurants, the schools, your neighbors, what kind of people there are in that community. Like where we are here, it's very eclectic. It's very much, it's got a really artsy vibration to it. And the neighborhood, they embrace that within the community. The people are like, have like lawn art and stuff. They embrace that here. And it's also very diverse. And I value those things very much. And so for me, my community, I value that, right? Um, so think about the shops, think about the store owners, think about the farmers market, think about, does my community have those things that I want? Because Mercury in Taurus is really thinking about the values. Is this where I want to live? And if I move, what does it have to look like? Because real estate and the housing market, Mercury is all of that. It's all of that. And so we're really thinking, and we're really just kind of reshaping it, but then really paying attention to those details of what I need, what is important to me, the creature comforts, what what makes me feel at peace and harmony, and what are the things where, because Taurus is a sensual sign, so it's all about the smells, the tastes, the touch, right? Beauty, art, all those things. Harmony and peace, 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 loving Venus, peace. A big deal. So safety and security and peace, a very big deal with a Mercury retrograde. And figuring out, hey, even if my place sells, like, where am I going? What are my options? Right? Um, Cars. I keep hearing cars. I keep hearing cars. Slowdowns when we have retrogrades. And I'm not telling you to slow down. I'm saying there are usually delays. There could be traffic jams. There can be, a flat tire. There can be whatever. The battery gets funky. And this isn't, it just depends on how it looks in your chart. Like if it's angled in a strong way for you and how your natal Mercury is. If you don't know and you want to know, comment below. If you don't know and you need to know, comment below. And remember, Saturday night, every Saturday night at 9 p.m., the Saturday Starry Night Live, starring you guys. Your charts, first come, first serve, get there early, know what it is that you want looked at, and throw those thumbs into the chat and just come and join the star room and light it up. Until next time, bye-bye. Below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.